Oh, look at this. Look at this collection. Better believe it. You better believe it. I mean, we are on, I don't like to say it, and you're not supposed to say it out loud. It's a little bit of a jinx. Anthony, he knows what he said. He knows what he said.
He knows what he said. Hey,
he's a big boy.
Right is right, Betesh.
What's right is right. And for 3 weeks, we have been handing you $100 bills with extra money behind them. We've been giving you your $100 back. On top of it, there is extra money on it. I'm sorry, but we're doing something right here. There's a lot of hot air. There's a lot of wind behind what we're saying. But at the end of each of these streams, we're putting up one piece of paper that says win, 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 win. And that's what we continue to do. So hello, Geno Bisconte. You are the genius that keeps giving us this great advice. All right.
In every way.
Brig and I are just talking people.
And I'll tell you, yes. And Geno, you have and I'm sorry, Betesh, to cut you. I want to say, Geno, what you do is you've got a sense of what's right, and you also are a compulsive. You're an addicted gambler.
Right
so
is right.
You know what I mean? So how can you be wrong about anything? Sam,
all I'm saying is I've put more W's up on this than I have K's on my membership card.
This is absolutely true. I'm proud of us for this one. And we've been doing this, by the way. This isn't the heart of the NFL season that we're doing this, by the way. We're making you preseason dollars. We are back-to-back preseason dollars on this thing.
Do you understand, if I can interrupt what you're used to between me and him? Like, this is a degenerate gambling bracket, and we're not even doing it during the regular season. We're doing it during preseason. What's wrong with you?
What is wrong with us?
We're making money on
wait until there's something
games.
educated. When there's an educated bet, we're betting on prop bets. We're betting on which way the wind blows and making you money. So imagine what it's like when we have something educated to talk about. You know,
think about
how
this.
dangerous will we be then? How dangerous will Bisconte be then?
We're trying to stick this thing to 4 bets a week, and included in that for the last 3 weeks has been preseason football bets, which is hysterical. We were talking about Trey Lance. We were talking about JJ McCarthy. And this past week, congratulations to us. And I know, Brig, you loved this one. We were actually talking about
Caleb Williams
and your Bears. All right. So we didn't know what was going to happen. We knew he was going to play.
I knew what was going to happen.
So let's just show everybody last week. Now we can't cash a few on here. We're waiting on these. Obviously, we got some futures on here, but at the top, Caleb Williams over his passing yardage against the Bills. And for those that were watching Fox on Sunday night, now those might not have been the Bills we're going to see throughout this season, but wow, did Caleb Williams look sharp, stunning, and every bit the number 1 overall pick. He cashed that bet in a drive and a half.
In the first series, Sammy, the first series.
Geno, you loved it. You loved it. You said, take it anywhere up to 99 yards, hit that over, and let's go. He was at 106. We cashed that bet and hung out the rest of the night. We didn't have to worry about a thing. Those are the greatest bets ever. When you can win in the first quarter, the rest of the day is glorious, and we did exactly that.
Once it's over, it's over. That's what they say. We also had the over. I sprinkled a little over on the total, but Frank Gore Jr. doesn't give a fuck about my money.
38-0. Well, the Bills could have helped out with maybe a point, right? I mean,
they
missed
a field goal at the end of the half. That's their starter. And Frank Gore, I hope his dad beats the shit out of that kid. I'm sorry. Well, I hope he hits him right on his billboard-sized forehead. I hope he takes out an ad that says "Winners want the ball," Shane Falco, because he just dropped it right. He spit it up. Oh. I haven't seen someone drop a ball that quickly since I was at the gay bar at last call with Brig. Oh, he let that go right out of his head.
Like Bill Buckner in Game 7 of the World Series. I just want to add something. How much did Caleb Williams look like we expected him to look like, or what you would think he would look like in the best possible scenario with Ben Johnson as his coach? He had multiple tight ends. He was mixing the ball up. They looked very Detroit Lions mid-season form in that opening drive and throughout. So I'm glad they won the bet. And from a sports perspective, he was just what we needed as Bears fans. In every
look, right now, it's looking good. I mean, but you could not have looked any better for that. Now we will damper it just a bit to say, okay, it's the preseason, but you know what? Forget about it. We're here to make money on a game like that. And we did it. I mean, we did it, and we got to lay back like it was no big deal. I mean, that was like having the Eagles on the money line in the Super Bowl and just realizing, oh my God, it's actually going to happen. And this happened in the first quarter. So a quick round of applause for Geno. Geno, if you want to bow for everybody. But look, I'm telling you, it seems like no big deal when we're talking about this. And of course, we're all sitting here nodding our heads. It makes sense when we say it, but it doesn't matter until it happens on the field. And that absolutely happened on the field. So I just want to say congratulations, because not easy. Preseason is just, like we've said many times, you got to be an asshole to spend money in the preseason on these bets. But when you're winning them, you're not an asshole at all. Hey, honey, I made an investment. I mean, that was smart, and we nailed it. Now, Brig, I want to start with something that you're really into this week. So we were looking at this last night. We all watched Monday Night Football, and I got to give a lot of credit. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. Joe Aikman.
It's a love child, Betesh, the love child you're creating, right? Like,
Troy and Joe do a great job. I mean, it's from, obviously, look, I spent years at Fox. I absolutely love them. And I got to say, my favorite part about Troy Aikman is this. Now, Joe Buck gets a lot of shit from people who think that he doesn't like their team. And I just think that's because Joe's got to call a team winning a game every week. And if your team's on the other side of it, you feel like, oh, Joe, I can't believe it. But Troy, I want to give credit to Troy for something. Troy Aikman, as synonymous as he is with the Cowboys, he could be pissing people off every week if he was praising the Cowboys. And instead, Troy does such an amazing job of being deferential and talking about the Cowboys in a ridiculously critical way that you could never say that he is a homer when it comes to those Cowboys games. He does a great job with every team, but he is never preferential to the Cowboys, and I got to give him a lot of credit for that. So I love watching Troy.
Yes, I got to say something, Sam. You know where I think he got that? Because he started playing quarterback at Oklahoma, and then he transferred to UCLA. So he had two different perspectives of the national college country, and I feel as though he's very diplomatic that way. You know what I mean? But
yes.
But it's interesting, and I want to say something about Joe Buck, is people hate on him because he is a member of the Lucky Sperm Club, but I think he's also a very talented member of the Lucky Sperm Club. So I think that, you have to give him his due and his credit, because there's inherent criticism when you have that last name, but I think he does a good job. So
I would argue Aikman's not being, I would argue Aikman is kind of being a homer because he loves the Cowboys. And when they put an inferior product out, he's going to be angry. Like, it depends how, if you define homer, someone that just goes the whole time with them no matter what, that's what I call a fanboy, But look, what you got to call a spade, and because we're on YouTube, I'll let that lie right there. But you do. You know what I mean? And
right.
And I can't believe I said, if you're on YouTube, I'll let lie and spade go away. But I'm saying, if you're like the Cowboys, the quintessential Cowboy QB, which he is, he's going to be like, what the hell are we putting on the field right now?
It's great. And frankly, I mean, look, for an Eagles fan, which I am, my dad's from Philly and I'm a diehard Eagles fan. For an Eagles fan, the fact that my favorite broadcasters are Tony Romo and Troy Aikman is kind of wild. But I do want to say, I want to save space for this. My favorite broadcaster, without question, and watching Monday Night Football, as great as it was, and as much as I just praised Joe and Troy, I miss one person in my life on a weekly basis in this league. And when he was on the sidelines, he did a tremendous job. My first job was working with the Raiders, and Gruden came in and changed everything in that building. To not have Gruden on Monday Night Football, or frankly on any broadcast, I enjoyed Gruden in my life every week when it came to consuming football, and we don't have that in that way anymore. And so I just want to say, every time Monday Night Football's on, I miss that. I miss it a little more each time I don't see him on there. And Brig, you were obviously feeling the same way, because you said to me multiple times, Sammy, I'm telling you, this guy is going to be back coaching in college football. And you said,
that's a great impression. I will say this. What I miss about Jon Gruden is I miss how he would break down those quarterbacks and really take those Eagles and just bust them. Those guys that drive Porsche. You know what I mean? I love the fact that he did that, but he also taught something. So he was fair. I do feel as though, here's what's interesting. Jon Gruden is 61 years old. For a coaching perspective, a lot of gas left in the tank. And I think because of, and we talked about this past week, Sam said something brilliant, Bisconte. He said, as soon as all that shit came out about Jon Gruden and the Washington Commanders ownership and those emails, everybody thought, oh, I need to call my most controversial friends and have them delete that text, delete that email, erase that right now. So
you know how many people in Geno's email inbox are terrified that would come up
please.
Monday, right?
No,
that was Geno that wrote it. That was Geno that wrote it. Yeah, but you wrote ha.
Right.
But you wrote
Oh
ha.
my God! Look at all the emails in Geno's box. That sounds like the Yankees. Roger Clemens is in Geno's box.
I can't wait. I can't wait till he gets a job in the SEC and uses your exact words, Sammy, and says, "Hey." When he goes to Georgia, he's like, "Hey, to quote Joseph Mengele, there's a lot of gas left in the tank."
Look, it is terrifying, and it's true. Everybody feigned outrage when Gruden was let go by the Raiders for those emails that came out. Everyone feigned outrage as if, oh wow, I would never send anything like that to anyone. Well, you have to remember, Gruden wasn't sending that to his bosses. He was sending it to his best friend, one of his best friends. He was sending those emails to. So
a best friend who employed his brother. His brother coached there. Jay Gruden coached
him,
there,
obviously, right? And in the past, him as well. This is someone who employed him, but was a best friend of his throughout his career. And anybody listening and watching, ask yourself, if your employer got a hold of every correspondence between you and your best friend, how would you look? How would you look if that was just an Instagram feed, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but that would be terrifying for all of us. So, all right. So Gruden, do we see him back? I'm not going to hold us to the fire on this. You can't even get a number right now on whether Gruden returns to coaching and whether it would be NFL or college football. Brig, I'll just ask you, this is not about a bet for Geno. No. We're gonna get to a college bet soon, but I'm just going to ask you, Brig, from an opinion standpoint,
I love it.
Where would you most want to see Gruden? Let's stick to college. I mean, look, we got Belichick in college football right now. We've seen Gruden in the NFL and we've loved it. But if it was college football, and he visited Georgia recently, so that kind of stirred this whole thing up, where would you love to see Gruden from a college football standpoint?
Well, I thank you so much for giving me the narrative and perspective to speak about this, Sam, because I think one place and one place only is for him. 4 Eyes, Mississippi. I think Jon Gruden is dandy in Oxford. I don't think Kirby Smart is going anywhere in Georgia. I think the best place for him is on the berm or in Oxford. I think because I think the Southern tradition, I think it's a small enough town. I think it's perfect. I think they would adopt him in a My Cousin Vinny kind of a way, Fred Gwynn. You know what I mean? They would love him like that. He wouldn't wear that little suit, but I feel as though he would fit right in. And I think...
I mean, he can use his old emails to get hired in the deep south.
Hey, we're going to give you a raise. Are you serious? Before you get Good God. I think he gets coupons at Cooter's Discount Auto.
I had to fight through my tongue to not say that 10 minutes earlier. Come on.
Imagine, by the way, I will say this quickly.
I like him, Betesh, and Geno. I think he lands at Mississippi, if anywhere. But I think it's a few years because I feel he is 61. There's just kind of coming. I think in a couple of years he gets his shot to get back on the college side.
And I'll just say this quickly. Imagine how interesting it would be that 2 former Raiders head coaches become head coaches at Mississippi, Lane Kiffin and Gruden. I mean, that would be, and a lot of people thought when Kiffin was hired with the Raiders, oh, well, they're doing it again with Gruden. Didn't work out, of course, but there you go. So Geno, I want to turn this now to an actual bet. Before we do, I just have to, it's going to involve the Chargers, as painful as it is for you that we bring the Chargers up on the show every week, but the most interesting thing Jim Harbaugh has said for this entire NFL preseason has to do with college football, because Michigan has now had the sanctions put against them. These are not self-imposed sanctions the way Michigan tried to get ahead of the Kevin Stallings thing. This is, and for those that haven't watched this series, please type into your Roku, Michigan sanctions, Michigan in trouble, Michigan penalized, Michigan cheating, and watch the entire story about how Michigan is being accused of cheating. Jim Harbaugh's been asked about this, and he simply has said, Geno,
not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it.
He is simply not talking about it. I'm going to get a quick opinion on it, and then I want to hear yours, and then we're going to turn towards real games. But I will say this. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. The idea that the scouting department was so ahead of the curve to go to watch teams weeks and weeks in advance and to try to learn something when it comes to tendencies about those teams, I want to say golf clap to that, by the way. I can't imagine how many teams aren't doing the exact same thing. And this feels like, as an Eagles fan, like trying to ban the tush push. This feels like we didn't do it as well as you did, and we'd like to take it away and strip you of what you earned. I don't see that as cheating. Letter of the law, maybe that's the rule. I just don't. Even when there was an entire documentary put out there about trying to show how it was, I just think they figured out an amazing way to get their representatives at games watching opponents. I actually thought if I was running that as a CEO, I would want my top managers to figure out a way to go get that done and to get a leg up on the opposition. And Michigan figured that out. It was pretty genius. Whether Jim really knew about it or not, it certainly was helping them a little bit. Any team could have done that. And I'm sorry, but I thought that Michigan champion, there's nothing about that Michigan championship. There's no shine off that Michigan championship whatsoever to me. Jim Harbaugh went from not being able to beat Ohio State to smashing them and winning a championship. He has done it. It is the pinnacle of his career to this point, and I don't think any differently about him. Geno, the floor is yours.
Watch this. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more, because I've said this. This goes all the way back to the deflating balls. Let that go, bring at the gay bar again. But I mean it. This goes back to that. It's like that's not. First of all, they're like the balls had less air in them. Then what? Stop it. There's no such thing as cheating. I've said this. There's basically what you said. There's only such a thing as getting caught. Okay, and if you do stuff better, I don't have time for your sour grapes, because that's the whole point of the game. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I'm not saying Harbaugh cheated. I'm pretty much saying exactly what you said, mostly because the second it came out, I'm like, this is a nothing burger. This is this is another way replay has ruined the sport. And don't even get me started. It's ruined it so much, I'm going to bitch about the replay in the Chargers-Rams preseason game. I'm like, what is that? Why am I watching this, and why am I aggravated? And as my brother is my witness, he's in this chat. He's a psycho, and he said when Vinny Testaverde's helmet didn't get, I'm going to let the helmet go. When Vinny Testaverde's helmet didn't get into the end zone against the Seahawks, he's like, they need replay. And I said, and I quote, the replay will ruin the game. And it has. You find yourself rooting for calls more than you do. Like, you find yourself during a commercial break rooting for a call more than a play. Oh, I hope his foot was in bounds. Now they're using replay for all this other shit. They're using it literally to say, I think he cheated. No one cares.
I love it in regards, Geno, I love your point in regards to saying going back and having revisionist history about how you played a game. But when it comes to replay, I will say that all of us in 10 years will say, when it comes to replay, the only thing we're going to ask ourselves in the future, the only thing you're going to ask a future version of yourself is, why didn't we do it sooner? When it comes to replay on a game, if there is a frame of something that is right and on the field it was wrong, we should have the ability to make it right. And here's why. Because at my house, on my couch, with the ability to pause and take a photo, I should not be in a better position to make a decision about something than a referee, an umpire, or an official.
I agree with that, but
let's do one thing.
Then get rid of the referees, because, and I don't want to get rid of the referees, because what it does.
By the way, let me ask you a question. Wait, are you related or are you one? I would simply say to that, why would you? Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. We're having fantasy football drafts this week. We're all wearing jerseys. We all root for things. First of all, you and I have kids here that we're talking about. Who the fuck has ever discussed an official, an umpire, a referee whose name wasn't Tim Donaghy, who we would be happy to have on this exact stream to help us make bets in the future?
Yeah.
If you took all of it away, all of it, and just got it right on the field, what are there chair umpires in tennis that we're excited about? Or do we look up at Hawkeye and say, okay, the ball's in, the ball's out? Move on with your life. Don't hang on to shit if it doesn't matter. And I'm sorry,
so
none of that.
You want to get rid of all referees?
I don't want to, but if you're asking me, that's what I would miss. I'm going to tell you, fuck you. I wouldn't miss it.
Here's the thing. We already saw it, you guys, in the All-Star game this year. What they had is they had the strikes that were taken, and it just took a lot. It just was a very formidable reality. They took those the balls and strikes.
And it took 15 seconds.
I don't like all this progress.
Here's the problem.
I don't like it.
It takes too long with these guys to separate and everything. It takes too long for them to get the calls right. So I think that's
it doesn't have to. And guess what? Yeah. And to Geno's point,
though, Sammy, it does. It takes way too long.
But Brig, to Geno's point, if you didn't have people on the field looking up and looking down, if you just
to go to Toronto, we have to go to New York. That's what takes
by the way, I could get Toronto on a FaceTime in 10 seconds.
2 seconds.
How long does this take? This doesn't. If
they
you
need
have
to
a
speed
room,
it up, Betesh, is what I'm saying.
First of all, Geno, we took you, virtually to my house this weekend. Brig, you were at my house this weekend. You're telling me that if we had the most important paid officials in the league sitting in my living room with 4 TVs around them, they couldn't make a decision in 10 seconds about whether something was inbounds or out of bounds? It would happen that quickly. And you could buzz down to the field and the light could light up red, or it could stay dark, and that would tell us if the call was right or wrong, and that's it. Move on with our lives. The difference here is right and wrong. History will tell us in the end it was yes or it was no, and we would rather be on the right side of that. All right, moving on. It is my favorite Geno nickname for Sam here. It is upon us. Did you two even realize this? By the way, I was looking at Labor Day thinking, wow, it's so exciting. Labor Day marks the beginning of football season. That's what I was thinking to myself, right? Because, and actually it really, there are college football games on Labor Day weekend. And then you come out of the weekend and you're counting down to the first Thursday and Sunday of the NFL season. Fuck Labor Day. College football's here. We are days away from my favorite term, Geno, your favorite term, week zero, which you like to spell WEAK instead of.
You even put it in the thing. Was that on purpose?
It was. I did that on purpose. But we talked a lot of college football already, and
I gave her the old week. I gave her the old week zero. Baby, who gave you the old week zero last night?
It's a new power drink.
So let's do this. Let's take a look. We have games this Saturday. Saturday that we have to make money on. And Geno, that's the thing. Our favorite part about Better Believe It. Now, we make a lot of futures bets here, but our favorite part is tap dancing when we get it right for the game, when we actually choose a game and we get to come back the next week and celebrate like we did for Caleb Williams. So when we're looking here at week 0 in college football, it is underway in mere days. And we're going to Ireland on this one, right? To start things out as well. All right.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the slate here, Geno, we don't have to spend a ton of time. As much as you want, though, you tell us. If we have $100, as I like to say, we can either set it on fire or we can give it to you and hope that we get it back.
You set it on fire.
And you can set it on fire, or you can hand it back to me the next week with interest. And we've been doing that pretty well here for 3 weeks straight. What do you think about this slate? Is there anything that jumps out to you? Go for it.
Let's go right to the top. We got Iowa State against the Kansas State's I almost said Rock Chalk. Excuse me. Kansas State Wildcats. Darren Sproles proud. Starting quarterback for Iowa State, kid named Rocco. What is a kid named Rocco doing in Ireland other than struggling and being confused? And it doesn't help. It doesn't help that Rocco lost his top 2 receivers, Jaden Higgins. I'm sure that was an Irish guy, and Jalen Noel. Oh, all the Irish guys. They must have gone to the NFL. You got Iowa State. You got Kansas State. They're ranked 17. There's a reason they're favored. Look, I'm going with the chalk here. That's why I said it. Give me Kansas State here. I'll lay the 3.
That Kansas is rock chalk, Geno.
It is. No, but I
know. I said that. I know. But
okay, you're cranking yourself. I'm sorry. That's all
I
got.
What he said. Hey, Brig, he knows what he said.
I know. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. What's right is right.
You made a lot of money, Tom. You made a lot of money, right?
I mean, if you want to have fun, watch the Irish people just try and say the name Rocco. Their brains lock up.
So we are gonna make the joke. Geno is going Kansas State Rock Chalk here because it is chalk. They're laying 3. They are laying the 3. Geno's okay, giving the 3 to Iowa State. This Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific, as it says on that screen, noon Eastern, that first taste of college football. You just sit here, you listen to us at Better Believe It. You could be sitting on cash. And that Stanford-Hawaii game, that's so funny. I'm always expecting the Hawaii game to be at 1 a.m. Eastern time. It's week 0 when Hawaii's playing with the sun out. I mean, what is happening? I mean, Hawaii's playing. It's 4:30 Pacific time in Hawaii. They're not supposed to play until 10 o'clock Pacific time. What the hell is going on? I love when those games are late.
Exactly. Every gambler knows. Every gambler knows when you've had, no matter how your Saturday is gone, it's like you make your money back at 11:30. You're like, is Hawaii playing at home?
Please.
It used to be called the Rainbow Wahinis or something, but they just had to make them the Warriors because it's like whatever. You're chasing the rainbows. You're like, just give me Hawaii. Who are they playing? Football. I don't care.
Exactly. All right. So there we go. So we got a week 0 bet already on it for you, which is fantastic. Now we're going to turn our attention to the NFL. And this one, I'd love to say, look, preseason week 3 is interesting. That last preseason game is usually what the fuck are we going to do with this roster? Usually it's you're really
it
trying
was
to
in the
figure.
past, but now there's 3 games, Betesh. There's 3 because it
Yes.
used to be the case, but not anymore. Now
You're right.
the third game is now the 4th game, Betesh. I need to interject to tell you that because there's only 3. They make 17 regular season games, 3 preseason games. So the third one is now the 4th. Everything's fucked up, but yes, it is. You're right. But
So even though we've been degenerates and we've made money 2 or 3 weeks on the preseason, we're not going to hold the screws here to Geno and squeeze something out of the preseason yet again. All right. We're okay now to look at the NFL and say, all right, this is about roster cutdowns. I'm not going to ask Geno who's making a team and who's not here. Forget about all that nonsense. What is interesting is right here in LA, the most fascinating story that's come out of Rams camp is all of a sudden they don't know who their fucking quarterback is. I mean, all of a sudden Stafford's injured and everyone's really worried about it. And even though Stetson Bennett looked like John Elway against the Chargers this past Saturday, we're talking about the real Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Rams here, who is back on the field. So everyone in Rams country can exhale. It's going to be okay. Everybody who had that future on the Rams representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, which is a very sexy pick right now, everyone can calm down. That's likely what you're going to see. You're not going to see Garoppolo. You're not going to see Stetson Bennett. You're going to see Matthew Stafford out there, likely week 1 against the Texans. So our favorite game to play around here, better believe it, is over under on the wins. We've got everything you can bet on the Rams right here. We've got them winning the West, whether they're going to win the NFC, but the over under on the win total, the consensus is 10.5 on that. And Geno, we love doing this because we get to look at the entire schedule and say, all right, this is feasible or it's not. 10.5, that's a healthy number. That's a team that people expect a lot of. 10.5. But I mean, again, you can look at the schedule. It's real easy when you lay the money on a bet like this, honey, we're making an investment. It's easy to take the schedule before the season starts and just start convincing yourself that they're going to get to 13 wins and whatnot. And it's really easy if you take it the other way to really parse it and say, maybe there's only 10. Bottom line is this is a fascinating schedule for the Rams. If we're trying to get to 10.5, Geno, do the Rams have it in them this season? Devontae Adams, this is a different looking team. That defense was unbelievable. They set a record in the postseason with what they did to Sam Darnold and Jalen Hurts. I mean, they sacked those guys 16 times. That's unbelievable. So these Rams are for real. They got off to a brutal start last season, and despite it, they were in the divisional round with a chance to beat the Eagles and then host the NFC Championship game. But that's all I and F. It didn't actually happen. That was only an if. So 2025, get me to 10.5 or don't. What am I doing with the $100 when we're talking about 10.5, Geno?
This reminds me, and by the way, shout out to your boy Colin Cowherd. You know he's watching us. He had the Bears just like us, and the reason I'm thinking it is right on the button. But he said he was optimistic, and he got your Bears. He gave him that extra win. He gave him 9. This is right on the button, but I'm on the under again at 10. Let's do what we always do. Look, this division. We'll get to my little sprinkle bet in a second.
Yes,
but this is a toss. This is a toss-up all the way across the board. And shout out to my brother Pete. I said it. I told you. He said to me the other day, he's like, why is Kyler Murray not playing center field in the major leagues? Instead, he's just literally switch hitting in the NFL, saying, this year I'll be good. This year I'll be a cancer. He's an idiot. But it's still the thing that gets me about, speaking of quarterbacks in the NFC West, like there's a reason that we're finally talking about, I would argue, that we're finally talking about, Stafford playing now because, okay, I'll say it again. And God bless Zach Wheeler, who's fine with his shoulder, with his blood clot shoulder surgery. You commies on YouTube who nuked my page because, to quote fucking Raging Bull, your mother sucks giant fucking elephant dicks. But at any rate, you hear me, Salvi? You hear me, Salvi? You hear me, Salvi?
Was that a balloon animal?
Make me a bicycle clown.
Yeah, our starting pitcher had blood clot surgery. The starting left tackle, Alaric Johnson, for the second time for the Rams, he's out with blood clots in his leg. Happens all the time. Are you DIM retarded? But at any rate, that's why I don't think Stafford's rushing back. But now it's like, screw it, I'll play. But I don't know how much fight he's going to have him in throughout the year. So, getting to that, split with. So I'm just saying they're going to split. All I can say right now is I don't know who shows up which week, but in the NFC West,
3-3. 3-3
league. All right, so let's get to it. 3-3, right?
3-3. So we got 3 for those that are keeping score at home. We're trying to get to 10.5 or not. Yeah. And right now we got 3 wins. We'll take the divisional games out of this, and we'll take a look. Week 1 is out of the division with the Texans, and roll from there, Geno.
All right, Texans lost. C.J. Stroud bounce back. D'Amico Ryans, they're locked in. They're ready to go. Okay.
And the Rams started, and the Rams start slow. The Rams have started slow. They were injured as hell 2 years ago. They were injured last season. This team does not start fast. So
they actually start slowly because they get off to a slow start. But if you want to talk like a yokel in front of your son, that's fine. That's fine. As I say to my brother all the time when he was raising his kids, one of you have to go into the outhouse when you're talking like that, which you obviously own if that's your level of English. But at any rate, they always get off to a slow start.
Slowly. Yes, we got you.
It's a week 0. It's a week 0. Yeah, I got it.
Good comeback. Way to get it back on track with the Titans. All right, they're going to beat the Titans. Okay,
that's fine. So there we go. So now we're
remember the Titans suck. Okay.
Remember the Titans. We remember they're terrible. Okay. I love the rematch. I mean, Saquon, you can probably chalk up for 2 60-yard touchdown runs for Saquon, it seems. But go for it. Maybe this is different. Maybe you see it differently.
I'm giving this to the Eagles, and I don't even think this is as close as the playoff game. I think that game was close because of the weather. The weather really became a factor. And don't get me wrong, the Eagles were better because of Saquon. He had some incredible runs. But, regardless of what you're told, it's the cold that favors the defense. It's rain and snow favor the offense. Okay. So that really took the Eagles defense was sick last year. And that really took away from, I like the Eagles to waltz through that one, give that to the Birds.
So 4 wins. We're still at 4 wins. And now we can say Anthony Richardson, maybe Anthony Richardson's back at this point. I have no idea who's going to be.
Anthony Richardson isn't even on the Colts by now. You know what I'll use as an example? The same team. I'll use our teams as an example. The Niners mortgaged the house to get Trey Lance. By the time Brock Purdy took his job, they're like, you are stinking up the locker room. You gotta go. You gotta go. Where? 31 other teams.
Anywhere.
I'm gonna reach right. And I don't know that if Anthony Richardson's there, that's an easy win. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna give this one to Stafford. I just think Stafford's gonna be a little stronger. He's gonna be in his rhythm. Going to be ready to go.
Got to 5. Okay. We can skip the divisional Niners game at the Ravens. That's brutal. They've got at Eagles, at Ravens. The first place schedule in this division is rough.
We've talked
Eagles,
about
at Ravens.
Last place schedule is rough, Sam. The Bears play at the Ravens too, for fuck's sake. So
this is rough. This is rough. This is a rough one. So I imagine. I mean, again, are they going to lose the Eagles and the Ravens? Right on paper,
they'll lose. Yes.
They're going to lose to the Ravens. Again, we've talked about this, and I'm sorry to beat that stat to death. His record against the NFC is it's incredible. It's incredible.
He's ridiculous. I think it's 4 losses against the NFC in his career. So and 2 of those I think were last season. So yes. All right. So there you go. So we're still at 5 wins, and now Jaguars in England.
I'm giving this. It's in English. I love that it's in English because let me tell you, all those Mexicans from LA have trouble, so that's going to be a problem. And the Jaguars, that's a home game. They're flying. Dude, I flew, again, I don't mean to brag. I was in Anchorage last weekend. I still have fucking jet lag. I still do. That's a long flight. That's a lot to deal with. The Jags, that's a home game. I'm giving that to the Jaguars.
Okay. Wow. So we're sitting at 5 with the bye week, and then Kellen Moore's Saints in LA.
We're not talking about who's their offense.
6 wins.
Who's their
wins for the
coordinator? Who's their defensive coordinator?
Brandon Staley.
I'm giving the Rams 4 wins in this game. 4 wins.
I love it. So we got the 6. So we got So 9 weeks, including a bye, 6 wins. We're feeling good about 10.5 at the moment. We got 6 wins, but again, some of the divisional games are in the second half here. We understand that. So we're going to skip that Niners and Seahawks games. We've already accounted for the divisional games. Buccaneers Sunday night football.
That's a sexy matchup.
Buccaneers with Baker. By the way, the former Ram, the former Ram Baker. Remember, he had an incredible drive on a very short prep week for him against the Raiders on a Thursday night football game 2 seasons ago. But Baker Mayfield against the Rams. How do we see this? We're looking at 6 wins that we've got for the Rams. How do you see this Buccaneers game?
I think they beat the Bucs. I think they had a soft week against the Saints. You know what I mean? Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
I think, and by the way, the Bucs, I like Baker, but Baker's finally going to be challenged this year. I think the Falcons are going to give him a run for his money. I think there's going to be some pressure there. It's a national game. Baker beats me a lot, but I'm giving this one to Stafford.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
7. Stafford gets strong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. You sure? Like I forgot about that stat last year. I was reading in the article. It was incredible how he finished. He's 19-4 in the months of December, January, and February. That's incredible. Like the guy gets into a rhythm. You know what I mean?
He definitely did. I want to remind everyone in regards to Matthew Stafford, though, and when he was injured, I told everybody this. Remember this. The Rams, as excited as everyone is about Matthew Stafford, remember inside the building what happened. Hey, Matt, you want to try to get a job somewhere else? Go for it. Go talk to the Jets. Go talk to the Giants. Those were real rumors that were out there. His agent was talking to those teams because the Rams said, go get a better deal. And then they reworked his deal. And then in April for the draft, the Giants, the reason I was so excited that the Giants got Jackson Dart is because they came back into the first round to steal Jackson Dart ahead of who? The Rams wanted quarterback Jackson Dart. That tells me there are questions in that building about Stafford. He's already won you a Super Bowl. He's already done everything he needs to. This isn't a bold statement by me. Matthew Stafford's beloved forever in LA for what he's done. He doesn't have to do another thing. But in regards to what he's going to do moving forward, the Rams know they need another quarterback. They were happy to let him have that conversation, and they went out and wanted to draft Jackson Dart. And when Jackson Dart was taken, what do? They jumped out of the first round entirely. Yeah. So that's who they wanted. That's who they wanted.
I didn't even realize that.
Age, you guys, don't you think it's the age element with Matthew Stafford?
Of course it is, but
it's the age element.
And that's why I just want to remind everyone when Geno talks about how great he is late in the season, that's fine. Yes, but because of the age, it's these games later in the season where you might want to ask yourself, all right, how's he feeling? I'm not saying he's going to not be in the game, but quarterbacks play games all the time when they're not 100%. And when your quarterbacks go back and watch the quarterback series about how Kirk Cousins, you wonder what happened to Kirk Cousins? I mean, look, Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards in a game that was incredibly meaningful last season for the Falcons. And we didn't think we were going to see Michael Penix at that time. When Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards to beat the Bucs, everyone thought, all right, Cousins is the answer. And guess what? He was injured.
He gets one of those games a year. He gets
Geno, one of those games in the history of this league, one of those games doesn't happen very often. I'm talking 500. 500 does not happen to everybody.
Yeah. You say those games like Briggs says those people when we're not on the air.
Yes, I do. Yes, very good. I'll tell you what. How do you...
let me ask Greek people, right? Greek, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Sure.
So
I call them Canadians, but whatever you want to call them.
All right, so let's
Drake.
We've got 7 wins.
Yes,
and we're looking at the Panthers, which I imagine you're saying is an 8th win. I mean, it's in Carolina, but still 8 wins. We'll skip the Cardinals game, hosting the Lions. Remember, this is that Stafford Goff bowl game, right? This is always fascinating.
Optimism. I'll give this to Stafford. I'll give this to Stafford.
Wins.
He's hosting
9 wins.
To prove. And don't get me wrong, we love the Lions. We do. But like the thing is, this is Stafford's game. This could be his farewell. I don't know that you're getting another year out of Stafford, and he's not leaving, in my opinion, without saying, to the Lions, hey, here's a little fuck you. Here's a little fun.
And the Lions, we know they're taking a step back. They're taking a step back this year on defense and offense with their coordinators.
And by the way,
it's a lot easier than we would think it would be, just, without knowing that.
And I always want to remind everyone this. When we talk Lions and Rams, here's my line for everybody. First of all, regular season-wise, the Lions beat the Rams in overtime to start last season, and they finished their 2023 season in the playoffs in Detroit. They beat the Rams in that game also. Number 2, Matt Stafford is given incredible credit for doing something that Jared Goff could, quote unquote, not do. Goff got to the Super Bowl, but didn't win it for the Rams. Stafford comes here and wins that Super Bowl, and it looks like a huge shot at Goff. All right, Stafford did it. You couldn't. Can I remind everyone of this, though? You know what Matt Stafford never did for Detroit, in Detroit, or anywhere else?
Never in my kitchen. He was never in my kitchen. Oh,
Briggs, he passed for incredible yardage. He was in an MVP conversation, but he never
won a playoff game.
He lost
to Seattle at home, so they lost home games too. So yes, absolutely, Goff was never And in your kitchen, Bisconte, yes, someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, right? With Geno.
Cheers. Name 3 people that have never been in my kitchen. Classic like when he was on Jeopardy. If you check, he didn't know the answer. He's like, if you check, Alex, they've never been in my
They've actually never been, Alex. I want you to go back and check that. So yes, I just want to remind everyone, Detroit wasn't stacking up playoff wins the way they have been with Goff. So yes, Stafford did something Goff couldn't, but Goff's also done something Stafford couldn't. Either way, we got him to 9 wins. Those divisional games we're going to throw out. Give them the Falcons win or don't. It looks like an under to me. Am I right, Geno?
Yeah, and I'll give them the Falcons win because you got, and I think Penix is going to have a great year, but that's where you nod to the QB. Let's give a nod to the talent on this roster. I always get his name wrong. Kyron Johnson's an incredible running back.
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams. Thank you.
Notre Dame.
I would have said Smith. It's always a good guess. There's more black Smiths in the NFL than Colonial Williamsburg. But what I'm saying is, they've got Devontae Johnson, Adams, calm down. Okay. And they have two of the best names, Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, Gesundheit. Like, that's a fun roster. But again, I mean,
and Coop is gone. Think about when they had Coop.
I know Cooper Kupp is out of there.
Coop, Pook, and Toot. Coop, Pook, and Toot is pretty solid. So yeah,
that's like you're training Levi. That's great.
All right. So we will put a pin in this. We are under the Rams. Now,
we're under.
They could make the playoffs. They could win the division with 10 wins, but they will not cash your ticket. So 10 wins, you're under 10.5. Also, keep this in mind. There are some books. If you got it while they were worried about Stafford, there are some books where you can find it at 9.5. So if you find it at 9.5, remember, Geno's looking at 10 wins. So yes, he said under, but he also said 10. So keep that in mind when you're going for that play.
But he's going to get this year too. Stafford's going to he'll miss a couple games, The injury.
Don't look for it at 9.5. You're looking for trouble if you're looking for it at 9.5. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but
but remember, if you see it, Geno's at 10. I just want to remind everyone, if you're yelling at us at the end of the year, honey, he said he was gonna win. Remember, he said 10. So make sure your ticket says 10.5 if you're looking to cash. That's all I'm saying. All right. So
unlike Brig, when you see 9.5, don't touch it, Brig.
If it's 9.5, don't touch it. Unless it's 9.5 weeks with Kim Basinger, right?
Not bad.
Thank you. That's solid.
By the way, can
1986, Bisconte, that came out in 1986 for you and your friends behind the board.
Can we take a look at the odds for the division?
Yes. All right. So I want you to do, because we like a little sprinkle. We take victory laps for sprinkles also. We're not telling you to necessarily lay the money, but we will take a victory lap if it hits, because if we set it, we're going to celebrate it. So here's where we may want to sprinkle. If you're putting 100 on the Rams on that under 10.5, maybe you got 50 here. What do you want to do with $50 in the division here, Geno?
Are you telling me at plus 575, this is a Seahawks team that, look, they got a quarterback, and I know I would argue he's a system quarterback.
Donald. Yep.
You're telling me a system quarterback, whatever you want to call him, that goes into that Seahawks team, which they lost Carroll 2 years ago. This new coach, I keep forgetting his name. Forgive me.
McDonald.
I should know my brother's.
Mike McDonald. Yeah, Mike McDonald.
He knows what he's doing there. They rely a lot on the running game. They have such depth. What's that kid? I forgot all their names.
Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Williams, but Charbonnet is the guy that's now getting maybe a few more carries than him as well. And they're starting to lean a little bit on Charbonnet because Williams, there are games that Kenneth throughout there are Kenneth Walker games where he's not 100%. So it's been a nice combo for them though, with that running, that tandem. So, remember, no DK Metcalf, but again, like you said, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, AJ Barner, tight end. Jackson Smith, the Jigba. There's a reason Tyler Lockett, wanted to retire. It wasn't like and correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, in the chat. Wasn't like a bitter leaving, but it's like, look, I'm gone to Tennessee because this Najigba Smith kid, he's a mouthful. He's a mouthful. But you're telling me you don't want to dip $50 plus 575? Are you insane?
In a wide open division, by the way. Yeah, in a division where the Niners and the Rams. Now, granted, that Niners schedule, I will say this much. The only thing that gives me pause is the Niners schedule when you look at it, because of those swing games, it feels right now like the Niners have a leg up, because against the Rams, when you look at those schedules, those Rams games against the Eagles and the Ravens are games where the Niners have the Giants and the Bears, and that's and again, the Niners also get the Niners get the Browns, where the Rams have to play the Ravens, right? The Niners get the Giants, where the Rams have to play the Eagles. The Niners have the Bears, where the Rams have to play the Lions. So those, you could feel like those are maybe 3 wins for the Niners and 3 losses for the Rams. But even if those two are beating each other, and remember, every single team on this list last season, Geno, halfway through the season, had a day at first place. So this division takes a while to come down to it, and I like it. You would be feeling good, honey. We made an investment. I mean, through 13 weeks.
I'm telling you that's Seattle. They're begging you to take the Seahawks, and I'm biting on it, man. I love
it a lot.
They're rising. They're Seattle's 9-8 last year. They're coming up, I feel. So
I like and one other thing to remind everyone, and I believe double check me on this. They had a losing record at home, and in Seattle we always talk about
never happens. That never happens.
Right, the 12th man. Seattle was awful at home. I don't understand what that's about. This has been this. They talk about Seattle like they're a disciplined team.
They put a dispensary in the stadium, Sam. You didn't know that. They put a dispensary right next to the locker room. Only
that shit tends to flip. We've talked about this. Like one-score games. That's another reason.
Yep.
Like I'm not big on that.
That happened, guys. That happened to the Packers. The Packers had an amazing home field advantage. Then they just lost the playoff games, especially the Giants. So yes, absolutely, Geno. That you have the mojo that you lose
2 years ago.
Yeah,
you're right.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got 2 more things to hang your hat on for Geno, where he could make you a little money. Now, this one is not as obvious. This is not necessarily $100 that's going to turn into an immediate bet for you, but we all spend a little money on fantasy football. All right. We all are going to put a little money down in our fantasy football league. And
it's the new phone sex, Sam.
You're absolutely right, Brig. Everybody's talking about their fantasy football team. I mean, we all know that forget about it. Fantasy it's not even at this point, more people have fantasy football teams than they have teams that they root for. That's just the reality of the world we live in. There are people who don't give a shit who wins these games. It is the players on their roster. So right now, there are leagues that are drafting this week, and certainly if not this week, they're drafting next week, and this is an opportunity to get ahead of it. Now, Geno, we're usually talking about bets that you can immediately cash. This isn't even a DFS bet I'm asking you about. I'm going to take a look. We're all going to take a look here at what the top sort of 11 consensus players are in fantasy football. All right, and I want you, Geno, though, you tell us something that you are bullish about, the advice that you, so as we're heading into drafts here, what is the advice that you want to give people? We're looking at Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon, Jamar Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and your favorite Puka Nacua. That is a top 11 of basically who we're going to be vying for those top picks in fantasy leagues. But Geno,
this one goes to 11. What's that? I will point something out that really that stubborn people don't get. Like, there's a reason there's more receivers on there than running backs, and it takes some people. Like, once I realized that, I made it to I should have won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, but I had who did I have? I had. It's going to be about COVID. YouTube. I had Jared Allen against Joe Burrow in the game where Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, and they had to stop the game. They had to stop the game. And then the next week, in honor of Damar Hamlin, the special teams I was playing at any rate. Okay. So you always need to want to take a receiver more. The receiver that I love on this list, CeeDee Lamb. I do. Okay. Because Prescott never.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. So tell me why for fantasy. Why would that be real? I want to hear why do you pick receivers more? Why would that what's?
Thank you for asking. I should have pointed this out because if your number one receiver Jamar Chase gets hurt, then they have a number 2 receiver, a number 3 receiver that just step in. But for some reason in today's game with running backs, they'll pick up a running back. He'll be available. When the guy gets hurt, there's usually a guy available that you can pick up. Running backs are just more readily available as free agents than wide receivers because it's a passing game. So you have so much depth of receivers, they're usually gone. They're taken. That's why I would take CeeDee Lamb. Prescott, I'll jinx him. I'm not scared. He's not going to get hurt 2 years in a row. Now he's going to play. And for some reason, Pickett is a distraction on the field as well as off.
Pickens,
you know what I mean?
Pickens is really interesting. I mean, he could take targets away, or he could be off the roster in 3 weeks. We really don't know what George Pickens is. So that could go any which way. But yes, I know you wanted to say CeeDee. Yeah,
Two guys not on this list. I love Ashton Genty. I do. This is a guy, and again, he goes to what I can only call turnkey system. He goes to Pete Carroll, who is pretty good, pretty much. He's pretty good at coaching, and
pretty good with,
in the Southwest.
Pretty good with running backs, also, right?
Yeah. Pretty good with the guy. Pretty good with a kid named Geno Smith, who I've heard this a lot. Just don't fuck it up, Geno, and that's what he's going to tell him to do. And Genti is he's a downhill runner, and he is punishing something you never heard week 0. He is punishing something you never heard. He just keeps pounding away. I'll stop picking on you week 0. But what he does is he hits the slot hard. All right, I had to get one more in week 0. But I love this kid as long as he can stay healthy. And he's a great pick. And stay away from Jonathan Taylor, because now that Daniel Jones just turns a lot of 8-yard runs into runs of his own for a scramble for a touchdown, where you're sitting there, saying, what the hell just happened? I'm telling you, he's going to cannibalize Jonathan Taylor. Don't get me wrong, Taylor's amazing, but don't expect the numbers you were going to get if Taylor's under.
I love what you're saying, Geno. I want to back this up and tell everyone definitively, if you're listening to what Geno says. Now, of course, the CeeDee Lamb thing is interesting, and so is Jonathan Taylor. But I think the most fascinating thing that people could hear on this is we're looking at 11 names here, and one of them that you said is not on here. And Ashton Genti has the potential, and of course, life is a lot about that and whether you're living up to it. But you're really telling people to consider Ashton Genti with the number 1 pick here. I mean, there are people that are sitting on this. I mean, there are people that are thinking, what should I do with the number 1 pick? And they're looking at these 11 names and they're saying maybe it's really obvious. Ashton Genti has the potential to be better than all of these players. I mean, Ashton Genti is going to get the carries. He's going to get the opportunities. And he has the ability. When he was at Boise State, he woke up on game day with 100 yards before he ever even got on a bus or a plane to go anywhere.
Whoa, boss, that's racist. That's racist. Before they bust him to the game. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
And he boycotted.
Ashton Genti, what he did. Now, first of all, the first preseason game, -1 yards. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, what's the big deal on this kid? Look at what he did against the Niners. And I know, Geno, you were licking your wounds with what happened to the Chargers in that Rams preseason game. But if you watch that Raiders-Niners game, you said it, punishing. Genti was running with force in that preseason game, number 2. I love Ashton Genti. And if you're telling people to watch out for that in your draft, forget about even dynasty leagues, which he's obviously going to be one of the first picks, but you're talking about anyone in any league. Circle Ashton Genti, do what you can to get Ashton Genti. I love that.
And on the way back, you take, if you have the number 1 pick, you take Genti, and then you just wrap it around 2 receivers on the way back.
Yes.
I love Ashton Genti. I think he's amazing. How come people aren't screaming for Saquon Barkley? How come people aren't saying he was so hot? He's unstoppable. He's the Michael Jordan of football, because he just made everyone look pathetic. So why is he not the sexy pick, Gene? I'm asking both you guys.
I just want to say, Brig, I just want to remind you, though, on this list, and this I believe is from Fantasy Pros, but most lists look similar to this one. This list is saying to you that Saquon Barkley could be the 3rd overall pick. I mean, that's pretty high praise. And Geno, though, you can explain why there's a little luster off of Saquon. I have my own reason, but I want to hear from you.
I mean, the last guy that you could consistently think would stack together years like that, year after year, was LaDainian Tomlinson. I'm sorry, he was. Like Derrick Henry, I would take over Barkley right now. I really would. They're going to just give him the ball. I don't know why Jahmyr Gibbs is up that high. Like David Montgomery, your boy, Iowa State Cyclone, Chicago Bear. That guy, he's healthy again. So I don't know why you're going to go that high with him. Like that just seems like you're torturing yourself every Sunday. But
I would say
Barkley is due for a drop.
Don't you think Walter Payton would have been perfect had it been more of a fantasy reality at the time? I know there was some, but as far as going consistent year in year, I feel Walter Payton would be a guy you could pick every year. Of course, I'm biased as hell again, but I feel as though that's a consistent pick for fantasy. He would have been a great fantasy player. Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, you're not wrong. He would have been great. But and the other thing about Barkley is
maybe not, Geno. Maybe not this year, though. Maybe not this year with Peyton.
Who?
I would Walter Payton. Maybe not this year, Brig. But yeah, maybe not this year.
That's what I'm saying, Bisconte. I know.
At least not in the first round. Not in the first round, Brig.
It's a shame. It's a shame they couldn't run him up the donor list, huh? Anyway.
All right. With that, okay. So we've given you fantasy football advice. We will finish with baseball because Brig, you and I were actually hanging out on Sunday watching some baseball, and lo and behold, the Brewers lost the game, which actually was news. I remember when that wasn't news at all. The Brewers losing used to not be news whatsoever. But all of a sudden this season, 14 in a row, it seemed like the Brewers weren't going to lose another game. There, you and I were watching. We were watching on Sunday, and yes, it finally did come to an end against the Reds. But the Brewers are. I mean, that team is. I don't want to get us back. I don't want it to take us back to the pennant because we talked a lot about the Dodgers. Geno, technically, got for this show, we've got to bet on the Cubs because of Ryan Sandberg. So we've got to bet on the Cubs for the NL pennant. Sammy,
for the pennant, Betesh, for the pennant.
I don't want to talk pennant here because then we would just be contradicting ourselves. And if we were talking ourselves into a Brewers pennant here, I don't want to do that to us. But the Brewers are sitting on 79 wins. I'll call it 79 and a half. As we talk right now, they could be collecting their 80th win. You can give me that score update in a second, Brig, but it's not even important because by the time a lot of people consume this, it'll already be past. But Brewers are basically at 79 or 80 wins. But for this to cash, if we're going to take $100 and set it on fire or turn it into an investment, honey, I'm investing our money. If you're going to win, this is what you got to look at. The Brewers.
I just want to say one thing. Is it their year too? I want to add that is this perhaps, as you're talking about teams like the Atlanta Falcons of the NFL, obviously a different sport, but saying, is it their time? Because we talk about, I was going to say is the Brewers in 1987 won 13 games in a row in the old American League East. That division was so stacked it had a different winner year after year. I just wonder now, looking at 2018, the Brewers lose to the Dodgers. Geno, is it finally your sense that it is their year to get over the hump, get over the hill, and finally win? I know we can't pick them, but is that your sense of things, not just betting wise, but from an emotional standpoint, from the feel of what they're doing this year? That's what I want to know.
Like, they're a fun team to root for, especially when they wear those throwback like unis. Like, I love that. You know,
get rid of any, just like the Chargers, where it's powder blue and nothing else, right? The powder blue and nothing else. Brewers need to be in that blue pinstripe with the yellow, right? We just,
how about the Mariners the city uniforms? And I hate a lot, especially the Phillies. And the Phillies are beating them 6-4 right now. Tarantula is about to come in. But like the Mariners throwbacks, which are just their City Field. Their city unis are the original, the Trident. Yes. But all that said, like, look, I've said this, like, look at these odds. This is not a bet where you're going to make money either way. And simply put, like, if you want to brag about your Brewers bet, you had money on them in June. You had money on them in May. You're looking at 11, 12 to 1. But if this can only be what we like to call a fun bet. And if you're going to tell me you want to risk $100 to win $14 to root against the hottest, funnest team to watch in baseball right now, you don't know how to gamble. Okay. But if you're going to tell me, dude, I'll risk $40 so I can root for this team to go over 100, you know, like in pennant fever during the playoff race, of course I'm going to go for over 100. Of course I am. Love that.
Have we not talked about Ryan Sandberg and the Cubs earlier? Made that a fun bet, Bisconte. Would this be your bet right now to take the National League pennant? Would the Brewers be their bet the way they're playing?
No. Okay. I still think it's going to be the Dodgers or the Phillies. I know I'm a homer. I know, like, I have a little affection for the Dodgers from all the time I've spent out there. But I'm telling you, the Brewers are hot, but the Phillies are this. I don't want to jinx them, but the Phillies bullpen, there's no reason. Like, they got Alvarado back, which is great, but he can't pitch in the postseason because of whatever PED he was on, right? But this guy they got, what's his name, Dohan from
yes, badass,
insane. And the Dodgers are just the Dodgers. Ohtani.
It would be tough. I mean, the National League pennant is a tough bet to make because, again, so many people are still. And the Dodgers look look like they shit the bed last week. Then they come back and sweep the Padres, right? I mean, they lose. They get swept by the Angels, and then they sweep the Padres. It's like I just think when it's said and done, the Dodgers are going to be there. But the Brewers, here's what's interesting. I think for this bet, Geno and Brig, it really comes down to the Cubs. Brig, how far back are they? Like, if the Cubs are pushing them for the division, then that's when they're going to have to stack wins, right? I mean, it really comes down to how hard are they pushed within the division, where 100 wins is what it's going to take to actually wrap the division up. That'll help the bet also. And so rooting for the over.
Question, Sammy, not very much. Now they're not pushing very much. They're 8 games out, 7 games out. They won the first game of a doubleheader today. Talking about the Cubs, they're winning again. But as you say, brilliant point, Betesh. It seems as though they're not getting a lot of pushback, so they could cruise easily and kind of coast, if you will. What they could 103.5 on the coast in the last part of the season. You know what I mean? And I will say this, boys. I got to say something. I think for both you guys, Philly fans, 1 and 2, not in that order, Wheeler is going to be the difference. He will be like Brett Saberhagen was in '85. He will be like Baumgartner in 2014.
We don't know when he's coming back.
Except Geno's going to tell us that he got vaccinated and he may never see the field again. So that
you just said that. But
so Wheeler's out. Is he gone now?
No,
he
had
blood clots removed in his right arm, right about an inch about where they give you an experimental vaccine.
Can we edit this part of the show out for
It's already out. It's already out.
Oh my God. It's not out, Sam. Just make it out.
I said it as an
Run
auto.
out and get your booster. Run out and get your booster.
I said it as a default that anytime Geno speaks about anything medical at all, it just immediately blurs out. All right,
How did I fuck that up?
All right, here we go. All right, boys, let's get out of here. We're going to do it in under an hour, but we had some amazing conversations. We made our 4 bets. It's 4 bets. We like to leave you with 4 bets each week. So for those that have been listening and wondering what the fuck we're doing, here's what we're doing. All right, we're making you money, honey. It's an investment. All right,
it's all the money we had, Sam.
They wouldn't have found it, Karen.
Oh, they wouldn't have found it, Betesh.
So here's what we want you to do: take your money. Take a picture of this and just follow what Geno is saying. Number 1, we've got week 0 football. Real football is days away. Real football is this Saturday. Get ready for it. Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Thursday. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she's running. Okay. Michael, Avalonia. Okay, yeah.
I'm smart, Mikey. I can do things, Mikey. I'm smart. I can do things.
K-State -3, your first college football game of this season. Lay money on it right now. K-State's laying the points -3 in that first game. The Rams, Geno likes under the 10.5, but remember, he likes it at 10. So if you find 9.5, that's a different bet, but under 10.5. For those that play fantasy football, everybody listening and watching, for those that play fantasy football, everybody, Ashton Genty as your first pick. We're going to come back. We're going to come back in 14 weeks and see what that looks like. Yeah. Ashton Genty as your first pick. Not Jamar Chase, not Saquon Barkley, not Derrick Henry, not remember that that's controversial for a couple of reasons. A, it's a rookie. B, it's
not
a running
Christian
back,
McCaffrey like I did last year, so they can say he's injured 10 minutes before kickoff. When's
always making the cracker, always with the whitey Bisconte, always with the vanilla.
So, and then Geno says this one more than anything, because it's not necessarily going to win a ton. Now, I of course left over and under there, which is quite confusing, but we are over the Brewers 99.5 wins. Geno likes this. Brewers at 100 wins or more, because as Geno said, if you're spending the money, you might as well root for something fun here. And it's much more fun to see the Brewers go for that than not. So we're going 100. So there it is. K-State -3, under Rams 10.5. Ashton Genty, take him if you get a chance. Brewers over 99.5 wins. And that is better believe it, for better or for worse. Meet us here again next week.
Episode 8. This has been the Ocho. This has been episode
unbelievable.
8.
The Ocho, and congrats to Rich Eisen, by the way. Rich Eisen looked pretty damn sexy on that Sports Center desk again. Wow. He was last night. For those that saw Monday Night Football, it was cool to see Eisen back.
I missed that.
I did. I loved that, man. And look, and they brought back the old Open to Sports Center, which was incredibly cool. I loved all of it. I loved seeing him, and he reminded everybody the day before. You know that his last Sports Center before last night was with Dan Patrick, of course.
Yes. So they were the best. I thought those two were the best together. Keith Olbermann, great. Special mention for Keith Olbermann. But I'll tell you what, Rich Eisen, Danny Patrick, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan of SportsCenter. Buckle up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And of course, we got to give a little love to Scottie at SportsCenter as well, who was also amazing. Amazing as that also. All right. So, boys, thank you very much. That was spectacular. We hope you all enjoyed it. Better believe it. And check us out next week. We will be back. It's Tuesdays that we love to do this, and we will see you later.